Good morning, this is Jack the Net, and this is the pre-market recording for Tuesday, the 25th of May. Our disclaimer, we do this for educational purposes only. We're here to share our technical analysis with you. We hope you can take some of what we're doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. We're not here to issue trading signals. Right, I've got to say, it might be that ES is going to go through it, but there's a compelling case for a sharp retracement here. You may have noticed I was doing some fairly radical surgery on the charts last night, but that's because the short term was looking pretty interesting, and we've got a rising wedge here. I drew a trend line above, which we've not quite hit, but we've come pretty close to, and we might need to hit, and I've got that currently at 42.18. We've got a wedge here, which is starting to break down. We've got a 60-minute sell signal that is fixed overnight. But I was thinking last night that this was looking pretty interesting for a retrace here. And if we saw a break down, potentially, possibly after a retest, this could take us down quite a long way. I've got the support trend line down here in the 40.80 area. At the moment, so we can see a back test 4100 here. We've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed, nothing on NQ, although we could still build that up. I've got a nice looking wedge here, which is overthrown very slightly. No divergence. I was looking for that, but we haven't got it yet. We might see another retest of the low that. RTY, we've already got some negative divergence. We've got a decent looking metaphone, and we've already broken support very slightly. And we've got a potential double top forming here. Although overnight, I would say I would move this double top support up to there. YM again, decent looking wedge, possible 60-minute sell signal brewing. DAX 60-minute sell signal fixed. We've gone a bit higher. We might have hit my target on the upside. We'll have to wait and see whether we have. I'm not sure there's much more in it if it has. And we've got more negative divergence again on the ESDX chart, although we almost lost this signal here. But we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed there. So we've got 60-minute sell signals fixed on ES and DAX and STX. And we've got them brewing on RTY and YM, and we may yet develop one on NQ. In terms of the pattern setup here, NQ's got a nice rising wedge, which is broken down. And we're failing at monthly pivot at the moment. And ES, that's a pretty nice looking channel, actually. And we could be heading to channel support. I don't know if it's going to get that far, but it might. We will see. Depending on how long it took, take, let's say, 2 or 3 days and find support there at the monthly pivot. But we're going to be watching that with the greatest of interest. Right, bear with me a second. Let's have a look and see. Right, hang on. There's not really much we'll show you on the RTH charts, but I'll just go through those anyway. Hang on. But I think obviously we've got multiple daily sell signals. I think that's we've got one on SPX. Obviously, we've got another one on NDX. It's in terms of the short-term support. We've got the daily middle band at 4156, and obviously we've got potential support there, particularly if we are going to do a deep retracement back into the 4100 area. We may well go part of the way, come back and retest the high, and then do the rest. Obviously that would be a fairly usual way of doing it. I'm still thinking we're heading back to the all-time high. I'm just thinking we'll probably do a deep retracement on the way, which would obviously be ideal from a trading point of view. In terms of the SPX chart, no negative divergence really. A little bit on the SPX RSI 5, but it's not particularly high quality. We on the 15-minute chart, no divergence there. It's and what we'd be looking at here would really be a back test of this triangle resistance. We haven't seen a move back into the triangle yet. And we could be seeing a back test of the triangle before we go back up and make the obvious target and retest the high. Not a lot else to say on the RTH charts, I don't think. 15-minute, nothing on NDX. Nothing really on the 60 minutes in terms of signals. IWM. IWM's got some negative divergence on the 60 minute. That could fix. And Dow, Some 15-minute divergence, but not a lot. I bet on the 60 minutes as well. Same, more or less the same as ES, i.e. not particularly high quality just because it dipped below the 50 area here, but really not bad divergence otherwise. Okay, great. Let's move on. DX. DX has gone lower. And I'm not really seeing a very strong case for this not continuing lower. I think this may well actually just continue lower. ZB. ZB, the initial flag I was talking about here has expanded into a channel. So we will see how that goes. No current negative divergence, but waiting to see if this resistance holds. This would be an ideal place to break down from, except for the fact we haven't really got any negative divergence. CL. CL saw a nice spike up yesterday. I'm still wondering about a retest of the high. I'm thinking we might well get that. No current negative divergence, but we will have some on a retest of this high, so I'll be keeping an eye on that. NG. NG looks like a flag, and we have broken up from that flag now. I'm waiting to see if that delivers a retest of this high. I think it might well. So that would be in the 3.2 area, obviously, and possible continuation higher. GC. GC is still kicking around in the 1880 area. If DX is going to crumble, then I would expect this to make a test of 1900. SI is starting to break up from the falling wedge that I was looking at there, and obviously that was a nice, obvious support area to be bouncing from. So I'm quite liking SI to the upside here. HG. I've got a channel here. This could well be a bull flag channel. Possible IHS forming here at the moment, but I'm quite liking this to the upside. But the 60-minute buy signal, the divergence we had there formed into a signal, and that is already made target. UUSD, nice looking triangle, and that was a bullish triangle setting up a retest to the high, which we've seen. No particular reason to think it's going to stop here. GBP USD looks like another triangle forming. Not quite as certainly here, because that would have been better as a lower high against that. But this could well be a triangle forming. Starting here, A, B, C, D, E. That could be a bearish triangle. Waiting to see what happens here, but it looks like a triangle one way or the other. Potentially could develop into a double top. USD JPY, nice looking double top here, not showing any much sign of breaking down so far. USD CAD, still got decent support in this area, and it's still testing it. Australian dollar, another possible triangle here. Watching it, but 60-minute buy signal has now reached the possible near miss target. NZUSD, again a possible triangle forming here, not a bad one. It would be leaning bullish if it is a triangle. KC. Also wondering about a triangle. 60-minute sell signal fixed has already made the possible near miss target. SB, this has a nice looking falling wedge, which could well be a bull flag, and has now broken up. 60-minute buy signal has made target. Waiting to see if this has got legs to take it back into a retest of the high. CC. CC, nice looking channel here, and really looking very nice. Bit of positive divergence, too large to be a flag, but the obvious next target, if this channel holds, would be the channel resistance currently in the 2470 area. ZW, nice looking wedge. If so, the obvious next target would be wedge resistance currently in the 681 area, and a breakup. On a breakup, this is not too large to be a flag. Corn. Still a possible head and shoulders forming here. Stan's thinking it's a flag. He may well be right, because wheat and soy are both looking flaggy here, and soy has broken up potentially from that flag and back tested. We'll see how that goes. Cotton. Cotton could be bottoming out here. Potential double bottom. 60-minute buy signal has now pretty much reached. No, actually, it hasn't quite reached the possible near miss target. That would be 65 on RSI. Waiting to see if this delivers more. Looking a little boring in the interim. Lumber. Lumber, flag, broken up. Could see another leg down, but I'm quite liking the upside here. We do have a little bit of negative divergence, perhaps. No, we don't really, actually. That's wondering if this is just going to retest the high, but this was very steep without really any bounces. We could see an ABC retracement. We could be starting to see. Live cattle. And I'll switch to safe charts for this one. Live cattle still kicking around the weekly pivot, monthly pivot area, leaning towards the upside, but no obvious pattern to take it higher. And lean hogs over the weekly pivot. Doesn't really look like a double top. No current negative divergence. Okay, let's see what questions we got today. Okay, in terms of the pattern setup here, it might be that we're going to bulldoze up through it, and we've done that before. But in the absence of that, there is a setup potentially for a very nice retracement here. Ideally, we would go just a little higher into about 42.18 area and retrace from that. And that would be potentially a very nice setup, and potentially that would get us if that did a retest of the high on NQ, potentially that would get us 60-minute sell signals across the board, which would be very nice to see, and a potential target in the 4100 area. So I'm watching for that. I'd like to see an AM high, ideally in the 42.18 area, and then I'd like to see a fell. Nice deep retracement, and then we come back and do the retest of the high from there. All right. Any questions, guys? No. In that case, that's a wrap. I'll be watching for that high. No current indication on the 5 minutes of which way it's going to go, but it does look kind of like a flag forming here from the high of the night. I'm thinking that's probably going to see a retest. All right. Cheers, guys. Catch you later.